Hi, everyone. I'm here with Rebecca Tolin, and she is the creator of the Be Your Own Medicine program. Hi, Rebecca.
Hi, Lindsay. Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. Thank you for being here and talking about your program with us. So, my first question is just generally, what does your program, Be Your Own Medicine, contain? What kind of things are you teaching?
Yeah. Well, Be Your Own Medicine is a live 10-week cohort. It's a course designed to really reclaim your well-being. And it's working mostly with people who have CFS, long COVID, post-viral syndromes, and other symptoms. It could be brain fog, digestive issues that are caused by the brain and nervous system. So it's really a program to recover your physical well-being, but it's also a deep dive into the emotional and somatic bodies. So I'll share these 5 main avenues that we take because it's a pretty comprehensive program. Although I teach it live in 10 weeks, there's also about 100 lessons in our online learning platform, and people can take it over the course of the year that they have access to it. And a lot of people do it more in a self-paced way. So the first part is knowledge therapy. And this is a term that really came from Dr. John Sarno, as well as Howard Schubiner and other pioneers in this branch of mind-body healing that wrote about and described how the brain and nervous system can perpetuate chronic symptoms even after an illness like long COVID or an injury or a trauma has passed. And this happens through learned neural pathways in the brain. So it's really important to understand the knowledge because these symptoms are so real and so difficult. But when we understand that we can recover and retrain our brain and process emotional memories, we can turn down the danger signal in the brain and also just create more of a sense of safety. That's a big part of this program, is restoring a sense of safety in the brain and body. And another way we do that is through somatic meditations. So there's at least 20 different somatic meditations, and they're really guiding us to experience the sensations and emotions in our body through a lens of safety. One that you may have heard about is somatic tracking, and that was a huge part of my recovery from 13 years of ME/CFS. Instead of fighting our bodies, we're actually learning to mindfully track sensations in the body. Sometimes they turn into emotions, sometimes they release, but we don't have an agenda. Another key piece of the program is emotional awareness and expression, because so much neuroscience now shows that these emotional memories are stored in the brain and in the nervous system, and they can disorganize the nervous system and they can keep us in a dysregulated state. And so it's important to acknowledge the full range of emotions and work through some of them in a safe way. Even just acknowledging verbally how we feel, but we also have some ways of doing that in the body through meditations and through writing exercises like journaling. And then there is a brain retraining component. And I think of all of it in a way as brain retraining. We're also using the body for a lot of it, but there's a particular technique we use called graded exposure, which is used to help people overcome phobias. And we really help people overcome all these different triggers, right? Everything that triggers us, from foods to activities to the bed, if you have insomnia. So we use graded exposure to step back out into our life. And then there's a lot of nervous system regulation, because I really found that was so important for my own healing and working with others in learning how to ground, how to orient to the environment, how to safely reconnect with the body. And any of these other techniques kind of work to the degree that our nervous system is regulated. So those are like 5 key areas. But I would say, in addition to being this toolbox, people will call it a toolbox for life, I'm really teaching how to learn the language of your nervous system. So it's not super regimented, like you have to do this. It's like, here's these different tools, and here's how you learn to tune into what your body and your nervous system are telling you. So then you'll have this sense of empowerment and agency for life, right? Not just for your recovery, although that does come. And just finally, I'll say it's also really a program of self-discovery in addition to healing, because we're diving into some of the patterns that are perpetuating the symptoms. Not that it's our fault, but there's these personality traits so many of us have, including myself, like people pleasing and perfectionism and self-pressure, that really can keep the danger alarm signal in the brain activated and the nervous system dysregulated. And one of the antidotes we bring in for that is mindful self-compassion. So I'm trained in that. And we bring in self-compassion and recognize some of these patterns that can be exacerbating symptoms, along with the other root causes. And then we also look at the wisdom in the symptoms. I call it the wisdom of symptoms, which is like the messages, is it telling us to slow down? Is it telling us to shift direction or to set a boundary? And then finally, just I'll say how we can reclaim peace, purpose, pleasure, and play right now, because we're often, of course, we are just trying so hard to heal and recover. But how can we open to the moment now? And I know when I had a real surrender and a shift in my mindset, that led to my physical recovery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, your program hits on so many of the key aspects that I've seen with my clients, with myself as well, in terms of what the needed areas are to focus on in order to recover. I really love that. What would you say sets your program apart from others that are out there? There's a lot of programs that people could choose from. So what would you say that is some of the distinct elements that you offer?
Yeah. I have to say, I have so much admiration for any program developer because it's so much work and it's such a labor of love. But some things that I hear consistently from students is that this program is really focused on deep inner healing, working with the emotional and somatic bodies. And we're really acknowledging and even inviting in a full range of emotions. So it's not just looking at the happier emotions, because I've really found that when we acknowledge our anger or our despair or our sadness, it really can free up a lot of energy. So we do this like in very safe, healthy ways to the degree someone's ready to. But I think those deeper layers of healing, people say they find unique to my program. And really, that's working with everything from just trauma and repressed emotion, and really learning to understand the role that those play in the limbic brain and perpetuating these symptoms. So it's not to say any of this is emotional or in our head, but it's really understanding the science. There's a lot of science. I was a science journalist before I fell ill. So I weave in a lot of neuroscience, a lot of case studies, and I'm really excited that the program I teach, Be Your Own Medicine, is quite similar to a program, a mind-body pilot study that I consulted on through Harvard Medical Center.
Oh, wow.
And those results they came out in a preprint study, but it was working with long COVID patients through this mind-body approach. And the results are really quite dramatic.
Wow.
There was a great deal of improvement in all these different somatic symptoms. So I feel like there's a grounding in science. But then I'll just say on the other side of that, what's so important to me is delivering this with compassion, love, and kindness. It's literally embedded into everything I do and everyone I bring on my team. Because as so many of us experience when we were sick for so long, or if you're still feeling sick, we're like cast aside, or we feel so misunderstood. And I had practitioners that were like impatient with me. And so I feel that kindness is literally medicine. And this online community forum that we have is just full of love. And there's me and 4 other mind body coaches answering questions and cheering people on. people always say like that's a really unique part of the program, the accountability and the community.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say at the end too. If you didn't mention the community piece, people really do often need a lot more support than they're getting. And it's a really beautiful aspect of your program, I think. And having the live sessions as well with the Q&A, and people get to interact, and on the forum as well. That's so beautiful.
Yeah, it's really special to come together live too. And some people say like they feel seen and they feel they can connect with people that are like them, but they've been alone for years or decades. So it is special.
Yeah, I needed that for sure. So final question is just for a little levity. What animal do you think you would be if you were in the animal world?
Oh gosh, I've been like pondering this since I've known you were going to ask me. It's such a great question. And I keep thinking back to these monkeys that I saw in the Amazon jungle that were so adorable. So I think I'm going to choose a monkey. These
Okay.
were howler monkeys I saw
Howler
in
ones.
Peru. But it's like, I love so many things about them. One, they're so curious and inquisitive. They're so community and family oriented. You see them, grooming each other, and they travel in these troops. So I love that idea of being part of that family and living in trees. So trees were like, I felt like trees were my best friends. When I was so sick, I would just look up at the trees and I would get so much energy from them. So I love the idea of living in a tree and being a trapeze artist,
I love
like
it.
monkeys are, and also just having that, I guess so much of the wisdom that, and the intelligence that humans have, but without all the rumination and all the things
Yeah,
that makes us suffer. So I think I'll choose a monkey in
I
my next
love it.
life or
Yeah, there's a
whatever that is.
playfulness to it also, like,
Yes.
with the
Yes.
lack of overthinking that we bring. So it's got,
Playfulness, exactly. Yes, we
yeah.
all need that. And actually, playfulness is so healing. We can forget that when we're trying so hard to heal, but it really is healing. And it tells our brain and nervous system that we're okay. We're playing. We're not running from the tiger.
Yeah. And if people haven't heard howler monkeys, if you want to YouTube what they sound like, it's hilarious.
It's wild.
They sound like dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's a great answer. Thank you so much for telling us about your program, Rebecca. I think it's really great, and have a great day.
Thank you so much, Lindsay.
Thanks. Okay.